Hey everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Snack and Chat. I am Erin, also known as your Diva, and today joining me is Kysa Daniels. So she is a lifestyle coach with the Black Women's Health Imperative as well. So thanks for joining us today, Kysa. How
Thank
are
you, Aaron. I'm happy to be here. I'm
you?
good. I'm feeling good. I'm in Georgia,
Uh-huh.
outside of Atlanta, and we are having like the best. We're almost to fall weather.
Yeah.
Feels so good. So,
Yes, I'm sure all of that heat that's been going on over the country.
woo! Yes, it impacts. I think for a lot of people, but definitely for me, weather impacts my mood. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
feeling good.
absolutely.
It's kind of cool, crisp mornings, and it gets hot. I think today we're actually going to start getting back up into the 90s, but
Okay.
I think today the high is going to be like low 80s, and then tomorrow it's going to start as we get closer to the official day of fall. But
Yes, of
it's been
course.
wonderful waking up to cooler temperatures.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about fall, our topic today is apples. So that's just a really popular fall fruit. So what did you bring to share with us today?
I brought my world famous, just joking, nothing that I cook is world famous, but this is a chicken salad with apple walnut chicken salad. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very, as you can see, it's very basic. I did not have celery to add to it, but I would have if I'd had it. But it's just what the name implies, apple walnut chicken salad. So I cut up a medium, maybe small to medium sized apple. I left the core on. I know some people might choose to take that off, but if you do, you're going to miss out on a lot of really good nutrients. And then I had one chicken breast. And so that we had left over, I'd thrown it in the freezer. I've learned to kind of do that right away instead of thinking I'll do it later because then I miss my window and it goes to the garbage. So I put it in the freezer right away, took it out, just kind of rough chopped it up. I mean, really rough, and mixed it with some, cut, roughly cut walnuts and the apple, and put in a little mayo
Mm-hmm.
and some mustard, maybe it was about a tablespoon and a half of mayo mixed with mustard, and a little salt and pepper, and I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm really
that looks good. And that's like such a good size snack, you know?
good.
And it's not something that people would traditionally think of as a snack, right? You make
Hmm.
chicken salad, you might have it on a sandwich, put it on top of a bed of greens.
Hmm.
But I do like that you brought it as a snack because I think one thing people have to realize is that not anything can be a snack, right? Doesn't have to
Hmm.
be a bag of chips or potato or just one piece of fruit. You can use your leftovers from the night before and have that as a snack. It's just a smaller portion.
Hmm.
Get you. Well, while you're eating, yes, because we want to eat. I'm going to show you what I brought.
Okay.
So I actually, I love apples. We were talking about fall and the weather cooling off. Tomorrow is my husband's birthday, and every year we go apple picking.
Mm.
We'll end up with like 13 pounds of apples.
Wow.
So I always am trying to find different things to make with them. So one of the easiest things to do, especially if I have so many apples, is I can just slice them up and bake them,
Hmm.
and then I can freeze them, and then pull
Mm.
them out when I need to, that sort of thing. So what I did was I left the skin on too because the skin has like all that fiber in it. It's going to help push all of the stuff through our system so that we have good bowel movement. That's all important.
Right.
But if you don't like the skin on, you can definitely take it off. But I really just did some baked apples, and I put a little bit cinnamon and fresh ginger
Mm.
because I'm obsessed with ginger. I have ginger just tastes good on everything.
Yeah.
So I baked those up, and then so what I did was I have the baked apples in there. There's, like I said, cinnamon and ginger, some ground cinnamon, some fresh ginger. You can also use some ground ginger if need be.
Hmm.
And then I sprinkled some pecans on there.
Oh, love pecans. Oh my God. Oh,
Me too.
pecans. Excuse me.
Whatever. It's however you say it,
That's a
right?
whole other show,
No
right?
matter no matter I know. No matter how you say it, you're right. And then what I did was I don't do dairy very much
Mhm.
unless I'm eating ice cream. But I don't, the dairy just kind of upsets me. It definitely upsets my husband. So what I did was I made like a whipped cream using
Hmm.
a can of coconut milk.
Oh.
So if you put the can in the refrigerator, it
Hmm.
separates out kind of more the liquidy part from the fatty part. And I'll pour off the liquid part, maybe put it in a smoothie later, and then use the more solid part and
Hmm.
just whip it up with a little bit of vanilla. Um, I think I put in a touch of honey in there just to give it a little bit more of a sweetness, and then I have my own little whipped cream, and I
Oh,
have that
that sounds really good.
container. And I have that container in there so I can use it if I want to just add a little sweetness to whatever I'm eating. A lot of times I use it on fruit. But this is, this is a snack. It could be a dessert too, obviously, because we've got a little bit more sweetness going on. But I just have a small little portion of it, small little portion of the whipped cream as well. And just sprinkle some additional like cinnamon on top of there. But, this can work with the peaches. I went peach picking
Yeah.
earlier this summer. So I'll probably do that with the peaches too. Just kind of bake them up with a little bit of cinnamon and ginger. And you don't even really need to add that much sugar to them because you're dealing with these fruits. They already have their natural sugars in them, and as they cook, they start to that sugar starts to caramelize in them. So I just don't never ever I when you're looking at trying to reduce the amount of sugar, this is a good way to do it. You know?
Hmm. Yeah,
Cheers.
that looks cheap.
Mm.
Snacking. That looks really good.
Mhm.
And I want to just kind of point out, I'm glad that you love ginger because I don't. And so, I remember when I didn't understand that recipes were made to be altered. And when I
Mhm.
found out that recipes can be some
Mhm.
um, can be adjusted, it was like, whoa, it's all of
Yeah.
this. And I just wanted to point out to people because there may be some people out there who think like I used to think that, oh, she said I got to put ginger in it. But if you don't like ginger, then you just put the cinnamon. And I love cinnamon. And
Mhm.
so that's how I would prepare that. Never try the dollop, the I want to call it whipped cream, but what do you
It
call it?
kind of is. This whipped cream is just with
Whipped
made
cream.
with coconut. Yeah.
Yes, the coconut
Coconut.
cream. I'm
Mhm.
definitely going to try that. I have a can of coconut milk in the
Yeah. And like,
can.
and not everybody is a fan of coconut, so then this may not work for
Right,
everybody either. But
right.
you can always, if you do use whipped cream, just get one of those cartons of heavy whipping cream, and you can kind of whip it. If you just whip it up yourself,
Mhm.
it'll start to get fluffy. But I would recommend doing that over buying any of that store bought stuff that
Mhm.
has a whole bunch of other fillers and oils and sugars and stuff in it. The cans or even the stuff that's in the freezer.
Mhm.
When you're in control of making it yourself, of course, you make it a lot healthier, right?
Mhm. Right.
but
Always.
but I love that we have like opposing uses of the apples, right? I have something a little bit sweeter, and then you have something that's a little bit more savory.
Right.
And so, if you go through recipes, you'll see a lot of recipes that actually use apples in them. I did some baked beans before, and I put some diced apples in there. So,
Mhm.
you just kind of thinking of ways to use these because,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I have to share
Okay.
that recipe with you. Yeah. I did something, I actually did it for the Dish Diva episode I did earlier this year, but I
Okay.
did pineapple instead of apple. So I alternate depending on, what I want in there.
That sounds good too.
Yeah, they were really good. But yeah, and that's why I said recipes are just a guide. So I might find a recipe and it's like a totally different recipe by the time I'm done with it. It might have the same components in it, but I might
Right.
cook things a little bit differently than the recipe calls for. I might add in some more vegetables than it calls for, because you can, you know.
Right. 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 Well, I know as the Dish Diva that you're going to share with the viewers all about the goodness of apples, how nutritionally packed they are, and I'm really happy to hear that because I love, love, love apples. I don't know. I got off track eating them some time ago, and but I'm slowly kind of putting them back into my diet, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just such an easy thing, just all by itself, to pack one,
Yeah.
take it to lunch, and especially sometimes I like when because this one's I don't know if you can tell, but it's a relatively, I
Smaller.
guess, small one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's still you just you're doing something really good for your body,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's good. And there's so many varieties, Erin, and
Yes.
like
Oh
we're
yeah.
yeah, so many. Where you're
So
going, you
many.
want to pick the apples. Will there be a variety, or is it like a farm with or orchard with only one type?
No, it's a big plot of land. So they've got and they, it's during certain, like earlier this month or late August, they had like the Honey Crisp, which is the most popular.
Yes.
Which those are so good.
Hmm.
And because I love a firm apple. I do not like a soft, mushy apple. So especially if I'm eating it just plain. If I'm baking it, it's not as
Right.
big of a deal. But the apple orchard does have a variety. So I don't I you know, we usually go the same time every year because it's for my husband's birthday. I feel like every time we go, there's like a different variety. But
Hmm.
it also depends on, when they've ripened up or if they had any freezes or anything like that. But it's challenged me to, because I'm the same way. I kind of fell off with apples too for a while, but it's challenged me now to, okay, what can I do with these apples so that we don't go, they don't go completely to waste. So
Hmm.
I made, now that I have a kid, I got an excuse. I was like, oh, I can make applesauce because I
Hmm.
never grew up eating applesauce. So I mean, I'm like, I could take it or leave it. But he loves it. So it's like, okay, well, I can put like 10 apples in the pot and I can make a bunch and then freeze it up. And I've, played with putting different things into it. Like some I made, and then stored in some peanut butter for him, or, put in some of those spices, the cinnamon and ginger. But the sky's the limit, with the apples. But like you said, they are very nutritious. So they have the vitamin C in them. They
Hmm.
have potassium in them. They got a lot of antioxidants in there, which can help, with inflammation, help reducing inflammation. The fiber, high fiber content, which can help with reducing cholesterol and blood pressure. And then they also help to feed the good bacteria that's in our guts. So it helps with that good gut health as well. So yeah, there's lots of good benefits to it and lots of varieties.
Have you
Endless.
ever tried stewing apples, Aaron? I love stewed apples. You can get them at restaurants. Like I'm not going to name the restaurant, but that's a perennial on their menu.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always thinking when I do it at home, of course, like you said, you have greater control of the
Yeah.
sugar content because when you're eating them in the butter, you can just, I mean, it's like it's just sitting
Mm-hmm.
on top of them in the
Right.
sugar. But I love stewed apples. Do you ever stew your
I've,
apples?
I've not done the stewed apples. I've seen recipes for those. I have not tried it, but I might. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna have about 13 pounds of apples tomorrow, so that might be on my list. But
Mhm.
yeah, if you think of any other recipes, I will definitely try them out. And I can make that into. I'll do a recording and put that on the app as well.
Okay.
Yeah, along with the recipes. But yeah, I'm open to suggestions for sure. Because one
Well,
of my favorite things though is just to eat an apple and slice it up with some peanut butter or almond butter. That's the
right.
simplest way to eat it. When I need a quick snack. So that's always my go-to.
Exactly. It's down and dirty, and it kind of tastes like a potato chip, right?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit better. The potato chips always made me so like dry and like I need water, but the apples
Right.
are just refreshing,
Really,
with a
and
nice
they
little
really
crunch.
are. They really
Yeah.
are. So,
Yeah, yeah. So those are definitely my go-tos. And I did the raw apple crisp. I know I shared it with you when you were my participant in the CYL Squared program. And I know one of the other participants, she kind of has that as a regular thing in her kitchen, is
mhm.
making sure she has apples, and then you just pulse together some nuts with some of those spices. You can do cinnamon, ginger, even a touch of nutmeg or clove if you want that. Allspice, any kind of flavor combination you want. Um, and you can use like some raisins. Just when you pulse it up, it helps create a little stickiness, or you could leave them out. But you just take it and you put it over top of these diced apples and you eat it like that. And it's like, oh, I'm eating like an actual apple crisp.
Yeah.
It's,
So
it's,
good, so
yeah.
good. So, Aaron, you mentioned earlier about freezing apples,
Mhm.
and I'm the freezer queen. But I have frozen apples before, like when they're about to go, and I don't want to put them in the garbage. I will dice them up and put them in a bag for smoothies later on. Yes,
Okay.
they do blend up, people. But how are you? I'm thinking you're using them differently when you pull them out. How are you using those for all the recipes you're talking about? Do they just
Yeah, I mean, possibly. So I can, if I put them in the freezer, I will usually like cook them first. So if you're using them in a smoothie, that's not a problem. But if you were to like put an apple in the freezer and then take it out and let it thaw, it would just be this whole mush, this pile
that's
of mush.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't want to necessarily freeze raw apples to enjoy them raw later.
Okay.
But like I said, the smoothie, it kind of works because it's going to have all of the components are still going to be there in the flavor. The aesthetic part of it is not going to be good if you just thawed an apple. But I'll usually cook them first. So I'll just bake them up and then let them cool and then throw them into like a baggie, Ziploc, and freeze them. And then that way, like if I, say, like my husband grew up eating baked apples. And so like when we go to my mother-in-law's house, she'll have baked apples for breakfast with whatever else she bakes. And so it's just a cool thing to just like, oh, hey, you're making breakfast. Okay, I'm gonna pull out the apples. We'll warm these up and we can just eat those with, our breakfast. Another option is like I can pull them out and put them in my oatmeal, that I'm making in the morning. So, the sky's the limit, or just eat them as a snack, like how I have them now. With the nuts and the whipped cream sprinkled on top of them. Even without the cream, they're still good. But yeah, I think that's my go-to is make sure I cook them first and then freeze them up. Mm-hmm.
So apples definitely get an A+, right? They get
Yes.
an A+. But I wanted to also ask you, as the dish diva, about the nutritional value of apples with skin on versus the nutritional value of apples without the skin.
Yeah. So with the apples, you've got both some like insoluble and soluble fiber. So the soluble fiber is the fiber that attracts water into it. So when it's in your gut, it pulls in water and it helps soften your stool. So it makes you go to the bathroom a little easier. Whereas then you have the insoluble fiber that's in the skin. And what that does is actually just kind of helps bulk up the stool so that you can flush it out as well. So you have both of those in there, which are great because you want the stool to be bulky, but you also want it to be soft, to have a pleasant experience, right? But with the skin, you're getting it's important to get both of those types of fiber. But with the skin, you are losing some of that, when you're eating it. If you take the skin off, you still will get a significant amount of, the vitamin C, the potassium, and things like that. But I think the most important part of it when it comes to the skin is that insoluble fiber portion of it, and helping it push through the system. You might lose a little bit of the nutrients. But if you can keep those skins on, I would recommend doing that for sure.
Yeah.
And but it comes down to a personal preference too. So if you're never going to eat an apple because you hate the skins, then just take the skin off.
Take the skin
off. Right. If you hate baked apples with the skin on, then take the skin off. Because even when I did the applesauce, I did like half skin on, half skin off. Because then when you blend it, you kind of just blend up the skin anyway, so you don't even really notice it. So.
No, you don't. And I think it's important to note that you and I both like the skin. We're not just eating it because it has the nutritional value. So like you said, if it's a matter of I'm going to eat an apple without the skin versus I'm never going to eat one with the skin on, then I definitely would recommend that you without the skin. If you can tolerate it. I mean, like I said, I enjoy it because you're not going to stick to something, a snack or whatever that's healthy if you don't truly enjoy it. You might do it for a month, long enough to get through the challenge.
You're right. Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah. What about orange juice? And I know you have a little one underfoot, and I the truth confessions, my kids loved apple juice. Did I say orange juice?
Or you said orange juice, but you're talking about apple juice.
Say apple juice. I meant to say apple juice. My kids loved apple juice, and I let them have apple juice. But I guess the same rule applies when we always talk about juices, is that if you can get it from the actual fruit,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be the optimal
Yeah.
uh, experiences.
Yeah. And that's ideal for sure. And and I think, you know, with kids too, sometimes they can be so picky. So sometimes getting just fluids into them,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, is important. So again, I wouldn't say never give a kid juice. And I wouldn't say to you, never drink juice, because sometimes you just want some juice.
Yes.
Um, but you do have to be cognizant of, the amount of sugar that you're getting. Even though you're getting the nutrients that were coming from that fruit, you aren't getting the fiber, so that all of the sugars are basically going into your system, and you're using it up very quickly.
Hmm.
Um, but if you're with kids, they have so much, young kids especially, they have so much energy, and their metabolisms are so high
Yeah, they
that,
burn it off.
yeah. So, I mean, they're obviously not, worried about weight and that sort of thing, especially the younger kids. But, you want to teach them, though, that there are other things to drink other than apple juice. Let's drink some water,
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for
exactly.
the
And as long as they're drinking their water, I mean, giving them apple juice every now and then is not that big of a deal. And I even sometimes when we give Aiden some juice, I will add a little water to it just to thin it out a bit.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
that apple juice, woo, it can be kind of sweet sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and always looking for some that are 100% juice and
right.
no other things in it. Because some of them they put the sugar, or they put a bunch of other different fruits in it and stuff like that. If you want them to just have apple juice, get apple juice.
Well, I have a feeling that little Aiden's going to be eating a lot of apple slices after the orchard
Oh
picking
yeah.
takes place.
He loves apples, and so when he's there, he's chewing on the apple the whole time that we're walking
That's
around.
good. That's
So
so
yeah,
good. Apples are
he
so good.
yes, he enjoys them. He's one though that doesn't like the skin now. He used to eat the skin, and then all of a sudden he got picky, and now he just eats it and then throw the skin away, mom.
Well, and I heard one of your last broadcasts.
Hmm.
I can't remember her name, but she just encouraged you not to sweat it. They'll probably
Yes,
circle back around.
Sally. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was great, wasn't she?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, she was really good. She helped me, so I'm sure she helped so many other people. Because
yeah.
me, I'm like, no, this is what I do is health and food, and you're not going to eat this food. No. She's like, don't make a big deal about it. Okay.
You're taking the skin off of the apple.
No, I'm just going to sit here and be like, okay.
I'm a health coach. I'm a lifestyle care.
I know. It was hard. It's hard, but I understand. I understand. I
Yeah,
can't make a big deal. And as long as he keeps seeing me eat this kind of stuff,
right.
he will eventually eat it as well.
Yeah, he'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's making choices where he can make choices.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Good. Yeah. Well, Kisa, this has been a really good conversation.
It has been. Thank you
Yeah.
for inviting me to join you on Snack and Chat. And
Well, I look forward to doing it again soon because, I'm always looking for health coaches who are interested in joining me and talking about food
yeah,
because it's fun.
it's
We all
fun.
love to eat. We like to eat. And, if we can find healthier ways to do it, then that's a plus,
I
right?
think so. I think so. And hopefully some of those tuned in will benefit from our Snack and Chat.
Yes. Yeah. Well, until next time, October, I'm not sure what the topic of the month is just yet, but we'll let you know and we'll see you next month. So, everybody, take care. Bye.